What's going on, everybody? It's Childish. We're back at it again with the next episode of Underrated and Overlooked, episode number 11. Yeah, buddy. If you guys are new to the channel, welcome to the channel. Way back in the day, all the way stemming from, I think it was February of 2015, I started a series called Underrated and Overlooked, which was dedicated to providing you guys some insight on 2-star and 3-star farmable and or fusible units, showcasing these dark horses in an effort to improve your PvP and PvE progression. We took a little bit of a break so that we can start up the Educate and Dominate series, which you guys might be familiar about. And now as I stated before, the last 2 weeks, a week ago, I contacted you guys and asked to see if you guys want me to bring this back in the mix, and it is here. We are back at it once again, all right? So episode 11, this one is not going to be a surprise to you because I've been kind of hyping it up for quite some time, and so I want to get it out there. Episode 11 is going to be dedicated to Trevor, the Fire Neostone fighter. So before we get into the details, with regards to Underrated and Overlooked, we will still be talking about 2-star, 3-star units, but we won't be just focusing on farmable and fusible. We'll be focusing on 3-star and 4-star units that may or may not be, rare ones. Even talk about some light and dark units. We're going to be looking at units overall, and how people appear to see them, and what I want you to see, right? And so some of these units are going to be kind of geared around towards the live PvP because that's what's kind of new, that's what's kind of fresh. That's what I'll be focused on for a little bit, and then of course we'll go ahead and talk about other units down the road. But these next 5 to 10 episodes we'll be dedicating to units that really shine in the PvP world, but most notably the live PvP. Okay, so before we get into all the nitty gritty, let's talk about this unit straight up. We got ourselves Trevor, the Fire Neostone fighter. Okay, if you haven't seen this one, let's go over its kit real quick. It swings the dagger to attack the enemy 2 times and subsequently increases the attack power for 2 turns, right? The second skill increases the critical rate for 2 turns and then instantly attacks an enemy with a powerful strike. Really strong skill. And then last but not least, we have ourselves an ability called Brawler's Will, which is a passive. As your HP decreases, your attack power increases, and the damage you receive will increase. So it goes both ways. And then if that wasn't enough, we have ourselves a universal leader skill that is extremely good with what we're looking at with regards to arena, whether it's regular arena or live PvP. Okay, so let's get the main point down with regards to live PvP, or as the game calls it, real-time arena, right? When we're talking about the biggest aspect of the game, it's going to be choosing an opponent, choosing your units as well as banning the opponents. Okay, so when we're focused on our units, we need to create teams that are based on units that are synergistic with each other, right? We're not sitting there just picking random units, so on and so forth. More importantly, we're trying to create a composition that provides exactly what we're looking for, not just on the unit itself, but also to assist the team at what we're trying to accomplish, right? So when we're thinking about a unit that we're trying to bring to the table, we're thinking about units that are not only going to do well, but they assist the team in some way, right? And so when we're thinking about the thing that sticks out the quickest when it comes to a unit like this is the leader skill, okay? When we're thinking about those comps, we're thinking about good damage dealing monsters. We're thinking about good defense breaker, and then we're also thinking about leader skills, okay? We got to bring a composition that provides us options so that if the opponent bans a particular unit, we still have an option to follow. So if we're bringing some kind of unit that is going to give us some like overwhelming offensive support, like a Galleon, so to speak, we also understand that that may motivate the opponent to ban that particular unit. So we have to think about other ways of improving our damage. With a leader skill that is 33% universal, that is definitely a strong leader skill, and it's going to play into the ruining role as we will see a little bit down the road. So when we think about leader skills and what they can provide, it's almost like its own attack power buff, like it's permanent, right? It's there, it's buff. You don't have to be concerned about if your support unit comes with you or not, if they have a buff removal or whatnot, because it's just a permanent amount of damage that you can put on. So that's why that's extremely strong. Okay, so thinking about the leader skill and what it provides to not only this unit but your other opponent teams, we gotta go back to the passive on this one. Brawler's Will, right? Brawler's Will. A passive like this allows us to build a unit in many, many ways to maximize on it, okay? This is one of the only units out there in the game that has a passive that influences both its offensive stats as well as its defensive stats, right? Take a look at the monster box, for example. You will see a lot of units with particular passives that help them with mitigation, or help them with reducing critical damage, or increase their attack power when they get hit, right? There's only a small handful, an extremely small amount of handful units out there that have that ability as far as improving their attack as well as their defense, depending on where their HP is, right? So this unit is extremely strong. And when we think about a unit that allows us to do that, then that means we can mix and match our runes in an effort to improve, right, the overall effective HP, okay? So that is one aspect. The next aspect, what makes this unit so strong, the self buffs, the attack power, and the critical rate. Again, when you're setting up your composition, picking that unit like Gallon, whatever, they may ban it. So when we talk about this unit, and it being just an amazing unit, it has the ability to not only provide an attack power buff, but a critical rate buff, meaning because you know that you can self-buff and get some more damage out of that, that allows you to again, think about your stats overall, and not be so worried about focusing on what type of support units you can bring to assist Trevor, because Trevor is basically self-sufficient. He brings everything he needs to the table by himself. But then, again, going back to that leader skill, if we want to do a little bit more bang for our buck, we rock that leader skill so we can get more damage out of our YOLO kind of comp there, all right? Okay, so rune builds. Rune builds on this unit, this can go so many different ways. We'll talk about the actual stats, so to speak, first, okay? So, in my particular setup, okay, I'm running HP, crit damage, attack, okay? And so when it comes to this particular unit, right, considering the passive, considering the leader skill that it brings, it gives us even more reason to create a hybrid format type of a unit that allows us to take advantage of its passive when it gets a little too hard, when we start losing our HP, as well as our damage when our hit points get low and whatnot. So I am a big fan of, basically balancing that out with whatever kind of rune build you can think of, right? Attack, crit damage, HP. Attack, crit damage, defense. Defense, crit damage, HP. Or even HP, crit damage, HP. Okay, etc., right? The goal is to improve its overall effective HP. It really doesn't matter what runes you use in a 2-slot or 6-slot. It really comes down to depending on what kind of stats you have on those runes in an effort to improve your overall effective HP. This rune right here is a great example of what I mean by a rune that's going to improve its overall effective HP as well as the offensive stats. We got an offensive rune that's providing hit point percentage, defense percentage, great speed, and great critical rate to help out with its amazing damage. Okay, that's just a great example of a rune that's well rounded, and you want to have that kind of rune all the way around. Okay, so again, we'll be talking about runes here in a second, but regardless of what I recommend, it really doesn't matter at the end of the day. Whatever set of runes, random runes, broken runes, or sets if you can, whatever gives you the best effective HP overall, that's what I'm going to recommend. Now, let's say we have those random runes and random sets. What should we choose? Okay, my recommendation for the primary set is going to be one of two options: Violent or Vampire. Okay, and when we think about those particular sets, they're going to, in my eyes, they're going to produce the most damage over time, in my opinion, right? Damage over time with the Violent set, we know that when we get those additional procs, and they will come, not as often as we like, right? But they will come. When we're getting hit and we're getting those additional attacks at that lower HP, that's a lot more damage than we were anticipating, which is going to be leaps and bounds of what we were expecting. If we're hitting the unit with an effective attack power, change on that passive, additional turns, that is a lot more damage that is intended, and we have even more of an ability to snipe that opponent. Okay, Vampire set, right? So when we talk about these speed-based YOLO comps that we're bringing to the table, a vampire set is going to give you that ability to self-sustain. And with a passive like this, it's if things get really, really crazy and your stats get really, really low, not only will you do an absurd amount of damage, but you will be able to recover that HP to give you more rounds later on down the road. Okay, and of course, because of the fact that as your passive changes, your damage changes, that extra damage will in turn give you back even more hit points, because of course the life drain is based on 35% of the damage that you do. So when your passive is triggered and you're a little bit lower health, then you're going to get more bang for your buck, giving you that extra hit points in order to stay alive, right? So Violent and Vampire are the main ones that I like. When we talk about the subset, okay, when we talk about the subset, my favorite, and I think this is kind of standard when it comes to this particular unit, is going to be Revenge, flat out. There is no better subset when it comes to Revenge. Why? Because this unit has an ability that improves its attack power for 2 turns, right? It gives you a buff for attack power 2 turns. Any opportunity that you can get with regards to keeping your buffs up, you want to take advantage of it, okay? You want to take advantage of it. And again, this is all stems from rule number 1. Whatever runes gives you the best overall effective HP, then that's what you want to go to. Don't try to force a set on a unit that you don't have the runes to show for it, right? Think about the stats overall and then go from there, okay? I think after Revenge, Nemesis, in my opinion, is probably going to be the next best one. You know, if you're not rocking a violent set, getting those additional turns, you got to figure out ways, not just with your permanent speed that you add to your mix with regards to your runes, but you got to figure out ways to get those turns as quick as possible. So Nemesis is going to help you out with that in that aspect. Now, if you don't have, and that's, again, we're assuming that those Revenge or Nemesis, you know, you got those really strong, well-rounded runes, okay? In my eyes, Focus is not needed because, again, you don't have any skills that are based on, you know, you're not trying to land anything. They're just buffs that give you attack power and critical rate, so you have to worry about Focus. Destroy runes could be an option if you're ruining Violent or Vampire, but the mechanics of light PvP, I don't think it's necessarily needed. Just for the fact that when we're talking about, you know, bringing a unit like this and having those YOLO kind of comps, it might not last too long, right? You know, I mean, the hit points and the attack powers already get adjusted after 30, and it goes relatively quick. Again, I could be wrong. Maybe that's something that we'll have to go ahead and test out, but I personally feel that Destroy runes is not going to be a huge factor with regards to this unit, okay? Last but not least, if you don't have, you know, the Revenge or Nemesis, then of course Blade, Guard, or Energy would be great. Blade to get the critical rate, Energy to get the hit points, Guard to get the defense. Anything you can do to improve your overall stats is really, really strong. I think that pretty much sums it up with regards to what I want to talk about with regards to this unit. When we're talking about multipliers, if anybody's curious about multipliers, the first skill, it's at 190% multiplier, which is pretty decent. The second skill is around 570%, which is absolutely strong, okay? And then to kind of give you guys a little bit of perspective, with regards to this attack power, the attack power of this modifier for Brawler's Will increases by 2% for every 1% lost in HP, which means if you're down 50% HP, you will be at 100% extra attack power, okay? That's not including the attack buff, that's not including the attack power, right? And then it goes back to the whole main topic of this particular unit and why it's so underrated and overlooked. Because you have so many ways of really amplifying this damage, that means that you don't have to go crazy YOLO. I have personally tested out runes and have hit upwards of 80 to 85k when I was in that 10 to 15% amount of hit points. You know, and mind you, we're not always going to be at that, right? But that just kind of goes to show you the potential of this unit and what it brings to the table. Do we need 80k to be successful? No, we don't. That's why I recommend looking at the hybrid format so you can get the most bang for your buck out of one of the few passes that increase not only your attack, but your defense, okay? So I want to give a shout out to my boy Lunix here, rocking that legend rank 1 time. You know what it is. He's one of our co-leaders out there. He was kind of my inspiration. I've seen a lot of Trevor's out there, but for a unit like this, you know, that hits that 70% critical rate, which is exactly what you need when you're getting that 30% critical rate from that buff, 180 critical damage, 1,300 defense, and then, of course, to top it off there, you know, almost 25k hit points total. This is a well-rounded, great unit, great example of what we're talking about when it comes to well-rounded stats and effective HP, okay? So I will go ahead and throw in a clip, a small clip, just to showcase my particular Trevor in live PvP. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did like this video and you're happy that the series is back, do me the favor, do me the honor of smashing that like button and showing me your support. I'm super excited to bring this guys to you today. Every Friday, putting out a video of 1 or 2 new units that I feel are underrated and overlooked. Okay? That is it, guys. I am done. It's your boy Childish with ChildishPlays. Check it out. Take care, and we will see you in that next episode of Underrated and Overlooked. I'm out.